Hello, and thank you for joining this session. I'm Oscar, and today we'll explore the power of intrinsic motivation. I hope you find the insights and strategies we discuss helpful and actionable. Let's get started. Intrinsic motivation is the kind of motivation that comes from within. It's fueled by internal rewards, like a sense of purpose, personal growth, or enjoyment, rather than external pressures like deadlines or rewards. This type of motivation is more sustainable because it aligns with what truly matters to you, leading to long-term commitment and satisfaction. Motivation drives our actions, but the source of that drive can vary significantly. Intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's fueled by personal satisfaction, curiosity, or a sense of purpose. When we engage in activities that are intrinsically motivated, the act itself is rewarding. For example, someone who enjoys painting because it brings them joy and allows them to express creativity is driven by intrinsic motivation. This type of motivation is sustainable over the long term because it aligns with personal interests, passions, and values. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation is driven by external factors like rewards, recognition, or the avoidance of negative consequences. Examples include working overtime to earn a bonus or completing a project to avoid criticism from a supervisor. While extrinsic motivation can be effective in achieving specific, short-term goals, it often lacks the staying power of intrinsic motivation. Once the external reward or pressure is removed, the motivation to continue the behavior may diminish. It's important to recognize that both types of motivation have their place. Extrinsic motivators can kickstart action, especially for tasks that might not initially spark personal interest. However, connecting those tasks to intrinsic motivators like the personal growth or purpose they support can lead to greater fulfillment and long-term commitment. The most effective strategies often blend both types of motivation, leveraging external incentives to build habits while fostering internal rewards to sustain them. When you're intrinsically motivated, you're more likely to stay engaged and focused on your goals because they align with your personal interests. It also brings a deeper sense of satisfaction because you're pursuing goals that are meaningful to you, not just meeting external expectations. Intrinsic motivation builds resilience when challenges arise. Your internal drive keeps you going. To harness intrinsic motivation, start by reflecting on your why. Ask yourself what truly matters to you and your health, relationships, personal growth, and how a new habit can support those values. When habits align with your core values, they feel less like obligations and more like meaningful actions. Keep your why front and center. Write it down or remind yourself of it when motivation wanes. One way to build intrinsic motivation is to focus on the enjoyment of the habit itself. For example, find joy in the act of cooking healthy meals rather than just aiming for weight loss. Set goals that excite you and reflect your interests, whether it's learning a new skill or pursuing a passion project. Celebrate every step forward. Small wins reinforce your intrinsic drive and keep you motivated. Let's try a quick exercise to uncover your intrinsic why. Think about one habit or goal that excites you and aligns with your values. Write down your why, the personal reason this goal matters to you, and keep it somewhere visible. Use this as a reminder whenever you feel your motivation slipping. We will break this exercise down a bit more on the next slide. For this example, I have chosen to create a mindfulness habit to help reduce my stress levels and improve focus. This is how I could connect the habit to my why using the example from the previous slide. First, I'll identify my goal, take a 5-minute mindfulness break each afternoon to reduce stress and improve focus. Now I want to connect the habit to my why. I can do this by considering the following question. Why does this habit matter to me? My answer to this question might be taking time to reset helps me stay calm, focused, and better able to handle challenges throughout the day. To help me remember my why, I'm going to create a concise, meaningful statement. I've decided on I want to take a mindfulness break because it helps me feel balanced and more productive. We're moving along through this exercise, and now it's time to decide how we will remind ourselves of our why. We could try writing it down and keeping that note someplace where we will see it, like putting a sticky note on our desk, or even changing the background of our computer or phone with an image of our why. Personally, I have a tendency of losing notes, so I've decided that I'll set a reminder on my phone for the same time. Every day, this will help me remember to take my mindfulness breaks. To help me remember my why, I'm going to create a concise, meaningful statement. I've decided on, I want to take a mindfulness break because it helps me feel balanced and more productive. We're moving along through this exercise, and now it's time to decide how we will remind ourselves of our why. We could try writing it down and keeping that note someplace where we will see it, like putting a sticky note on our desk or even changing the background of our computer or phone with an image of our why. Personally, I have a tendency of losing notes, so I've decided that I'll set a reminder on my phone for the same time every day. This will help me remember to take my mindfulness breaks. The important thing to remember in this step is to decide what best works for you. Moving on to the last two steps in our exercise, implementing our habit and reflecting and adjusting. We discussed habit loops in our prior session, and we learned the importance of tying a habit to a cue, and that holds true in this exercise. I want to make sure that my cue is something I do every day. So in my example, I'm going to take my mindfulness break every day after lunch. Now to bring this exercise to a close, after a week of practicing, I'm going to take the time to reflect and make any adjustments. One way I can do this is by asking myself two questions. Did I feel less stressed or more focused after my mindfulness breaks? And what can I adjust to make it work even better after taking about 5 minutes to reflect? I decided that I did feel less stressed and more focused in the afternoons, and that I'd like to try shifting my mindfulness practice to before working on a big task to see if it boosts my focus. And that's the end of our exercise. I encourage you to try this out when you're ready to start working on a new habit. Before we wrap up this session, here are a few reminders on how we can build habits using intrinsic motivation. 1. Customizing the cue to reflect personal values. Choose a cue that not only fits your routine but also aligns with what matters to you. For example, if family time is important, tie a habit like mindfulness to the end of dinner, reinforcing its connection to a peaceful, meaningful day. 2. Starting small and building confidence. Focus on success over perfection. Starting small ensures you experience the satisfaction of progress, which deepens intrinsic motivation. For example, if exercising daily feels overwhelming, start with a 2-minute stretch tied to a valued goal of maintaining good health. 3. Experimenting to discover joy in the process. Explore activities that bring genuine enjoyment or personal fulfillment. For example, if mindfulness feels challenging, try a gratitude practice instead, linking it to your values of positivity and personal growth. 4. Tracking progress as a form of self-discovery. Tracking is less about rigid accountability and more about celebrating your growth and learning what works for you. For example, reflect on your habit tracker each week and note how the habit made you feel or contributed to your goals. 5. Pairing the habit with an emotionally meaningful reward. Use rewards that connect to your values and bring authentic joy. For example, after a mindfulness break, reward yourself with a moment of quiet reflection on your progress toward a stress-free, balanced life. 6. Creating meaningful accountability. Share your goals with someone who understands and supports your intrinsic why. For example, share your mindfulness goal with a close friend who values mental well-being and check in weekly to encourage each other. 7. Adjusting with compassion for yourself. Frame flexibility as part of honoring your personal growth journey. Example, if you miss a day, remind yourself that it is a reflection of life's rhythm, not failure. Reconnect with your intrinsic why to stay motivated. Remember, intrinsic motivation is about finding the internal rewards in your habits. It is the key to building habits that stick because they align with what truly matters to you. Focus on the journey, celebrate small milestones, and keep your why at the forefront. This approach will not only help you build better habits, but also create a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. Thank you again for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this session, and we will see you in the next one.